Huskies lose 85 to 61 to USC. They fall to 6-3 on the season and 0-2 in conference play. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Chris Crawford. I always introduce myself for these newer things. I've been covering the Mariners for so long on this channel, but since we're doing other stuff, I like to introduce myself. You see my name in the thing. It is what it is. So how this normally works, I'm going to keep introducing how this works, I guess, is that we talk about the positives first in a loss and then move to the negatives. And then when they win, and hopefully they win again soon, we do the opposite. There's no positives from this basketball game. There's a positive personally. So I talked about at the end of the last video that I was super excited that I finally get to watch it live. Finally, a live Husky basketball game. First one since the first game of the year. But nope, because my internet went out, and my internet, of course, being attached to my cable, that went out too. That was God telling me to just leave it alone. And I can just apologize now, God. I should have left it alone because I didn't end up watching this thing until midnight last night. And it's like 8:10 in the morning right now. There's no basketball positives. There's no basketball positives. You can hear my dog snoring right now. And that snore was a more cohesive offensive effort than the Huskies had. And the thing that's bad about this one, too, is that the defensive effort was not there. Just not there. And, if you want a positive, they played better in the second half. If they would have played worse in the second half, they would have been demoted to the Sun Belt. Not even the Sun Belt. We're talking SWAC. This was anemic basketball. It was the first time, look, they lose to UCLA by double digits. They lose to Nevada by double digits. But in both of those games, there were good moments. In fact, not just moments, good spurts. They didn't last long enough, obviously. If they lasted long enough, they would have won those games. But there were moments. There was nothing here. This was the first game I watched where I truly thought this could be a very, very long season. A very long season, because if they play like this against Big Ten teams as they did tonight, and it's still so weird that this is a Big Ten game, but they're going to get mollywopped. They're going to get absolutely shellacked. USC isn't even one of the better Big Ten teams. They're a middle of the pack Big Ten team. They're a team that the Huskies should be hoping to coin flip win games. Coin flip. They lost a lot of coin flips tonight. Before I get into all of it, I do want to thank Simply Seattle. Great stuff for the Huskies, of course, but the Mariners, the Seahawks, the Kraken, the Sonics, you can find it all at simplyseattle.com. It's the best, the very best in Seattle sports gear. And use code MOLLYWOP15. Hey, I just said the word Mollywop. MOLLYWHOP15 to save 15% off your order. Great deal from great people. I know I talk about them a lot, and part of it is because, I like to get their gear, but also just because I think they're just awesome. They are just a really cool business, and I would really appreciate you supporting them, and I'd appreciate you supporting me by using that code. It shows you're paying attention to the channel. And yeah, simplyseattle.com, link in the description. But once again, MOLLYWHOP15. Ah, boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know what really hurt last night was watching Wesley Yates just dominate them. And the thing about that was, he plays 37 minutes. He scores 19 points. I think he's 7 for 11 or something like that shooting. He's been kind of a non-factor for him. But he wasn't a non-factor against the Huskies on Saturday. And for those of you unfamiliar, Wesley Yates was a big-time recruiting get for Mike Hopkins. Wesley Yates ends up not playing, I believe, a single minute for the Huskies in 2023-2024, and transfers. Whew. He looked like the best player on the floor for a large portion of that game. certainly was better than any Husky whatsoever. The lack of shooting ability for this team is problematic, and problematic is the understatement of understatements, because you got to make threes in the college basketball. You got to make threes at any level now. You can't go 5 for 19, and they are consistently having shooting performances along that line. On top of the fact that they're 12 for 21 again from free throw or from the free throw line, and that's just not going to get it done. That's just not going to get it done. Tyler Harris can't shoot 5 shots. And by that, I mean he's got to be a lot more involved in the offense. Can't happen. Can't happen. You cannot have Tyler Harris take 5 shots and Iheanacho take 6. You can't be outshot by pretty much everybody except for Breidenbach and the guys who didn't play very much. Can't happen. There must be something important happening on my phone. It was a message letting me know that my internet was back. And I would make a joke about how bad that company is, but they signed my checks. Where was I? Yeah. Tyler Harris has to be more involved. Has to. Zoom Diallo has to be more involved. Now, I get it a little more for him, a freshman, 19 minutes tonight. I'd like to see him more involved. I will say, too, the one thing that has really impressed me with Diallo is how little he's turned the basketball over. And some of that has to do with the fact that he's been a little passive, but it's still impressive that he's turned the ball over so little. Courtwright and Davis off the bench were both awful. Just awful. Courtwright needs to be, to me, the 10th man. Now, is there a chance for him to develop, to earn more playing time if he starts playing better? Sure. He's just not good enough. And DJ Davis, a guy who I was super excited about this transfer class, and Tyler Harris has looked great for the most part. We'll talk about another guy in a sec who literally has that name. But, Courtwright and DJ Davis and Makai Mason were really good gets. And sure, Makai Mason has his best game as a Husky. A lot of it in beyond garbage time. The Huskies were down 26 at the half. Down 26. This game was over. And sure, they outscore them by 2 in the second half. Whoop-de frickin' do. But I was excited for those guys. And they have not lived up to expectations. Now, we have played a quarter of the year. There's plenty of time for that to change. But, I mean, to say they have to get better, they've got no shot of being competitive in the Big Ten if they play like they did tonight. Courtwright and Davis were a combined 2 for 9 from 3, 2 for 12 overall, 2 combined assists, 5 rebounds. It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. And then Osobor. Look, if Osobor plays like he's played in these first 2 Big Ten games, it doesn't matter how good the other teams are, how good those other players are. They're going to get steamrolled. 4 turnovers, 4 for 11 from the field, 1 for 4 from free throw. I have said so many nice things about this player, and I don't want to go too crazy about insulting I think he's like 21. I don't want to do that. But has to start playing at that elite level again. Has to. This was ugly. This was ugly. And like I said, this is the first time I watched them and truly thought, oh, they've got no shot. Now, I think the good news is we're done with Big Ten play for a little bit. I believe they have 4 straight games now that are out of conference. Um, Eastern Washington, Washington State, still weird that's a non-conference game. Seattle U, and good old New Jersey Institute of Technology. I am thankful for that. Now, you could argue, hey, it would be nice to see them just get right back in there, right? And start figure these things out. I kind of like that they're going to figure some things out against some lesser opponents. If they play like they did today, any of those teams could beat them. Yeah. I don't think that New Jersey Institute of Technology is beating them. Eastern Washington has been terrible to begin the year. So to call that, I mean, a loss there would be, yeah. And Washington State's a decent little team. Washington State looks pretty good. I don't like it. But they do look pretty good. So, but I do like that they get a little bit of a break. Break's a weird way to put it, but they're not ready for Big Ten play. They're not ready for it. So hopefully Danny Sprinkle can make some adjustments and figure out the right rotation, because I don't think this rotation's working right now. I'm not blaming him too much for this, talent's talent, but these guys have had some success elsewhere. Now, they haven't had success at the level that Washington's playing at, right? But they got to figure it out. I thought they were starting to figure some stuff out after that tournament win and for a large portion of the UCLA game. But this was just massive step backwards. Massive step backwards. I'm going to try to stop doing that to call it I get it. You guys get it. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I really appreciate the support. Back with a bunch of Mariner stuff this week. Back with a Seahawk game later today. Oh, please win, Seahawks, because that Husky game is leaving a bad taste in my mouth.